what's up? So I'm gonna start getting some of the electrical things hooked up. That is the Lexus fuse box. Really, the only thing I'm using the Lexus fuse box for is everything to do with Lexus, as far as turn signals, headlamps, fuel pump, that type of thing. I need to figure out what circuit will turn, say, the injectors on and everything when the car is turning over. And I need to figure out what circuit is 12 volt positive so that I can run that over to my LS1 little fuse box thing that I got. The main fuse box connection on a Lexus is this bolt, and I had extended this at some point in the past, but this bolt to this, they ran a ground to the ground of the battery, and that went to the engine, and then they ran a very small, like less than 10 gauge ground to the body. I'm going to run a much bigger ground to the body. I need to weld in probably right in that area. I'm going to weld a big nut, and then I can use some terminals that I got right here, make myself a new ground cable. So I got these from Amazon. I'll post a link. Fine enough quality. They're pretty handy. I use them on the 510. It looks like they're probably using a lot of stereo stuff, but this is going to allow me to, especially on this car, I can run this gauge of wire into one of these. I can run another, I'm going to use -2 cable, which is actually, it's had a bunch left over from my 510 project. It's welding cable. It's actually bigger than the stock from the LS1. That's that. Probably hard to tell, but it is bigger. So I can run a new line from here, and then that's going to go, it's kind of handy, you can tuck it under here where Lexus tucked their wire. It's going to come down and go, you can't see it, but if you look right in there, there's a starter, so that will need to make it over to the starter. I got this from Amazon, a 10-foot, two wires, ground, positive. It's pretty nice stuff. It's a nice silicone. I'll post a link for that. So I've got that, and let's see. I probably went overboard, but I got 2 of these, which are bus bars, they're called. So you can hook whatever you want from the main power source, and then you can hook all these on there, and it goes for grounds too. It cleans stuff up a lot instead of having to, or trying to put everything on one bolt. Part of this might end up in another video too, but since it's electrical and I'm sitting here, this is actually a big 200 amp relay. Very excessive, I guess, for what I'm doing, but with prices on Amazon nowadays, I ended up getting this because I wasn't sure initially if I was going to run a big fan like my Taurus fan that I have in my 510. That takes a crap ton of amps. I think the Spal one only needs a 40 amp fuse and relay, but I have this thing. It's never going to be overloaded, and it's obviously simple to wire like a normal relay. So I can put that in the link as well. Alright, I'll get to it a little bit and film some other shit. Don't need that anymore. Might actually cut this. It's kind of in the way of everything. So this is -2 cable. It's actually, you can see that, welding cable, which is a cheaper and probably better way than doing a lot of the other ways. But I'm likely going to be redoing some of this stuff, but to give me an idea of placement. So this big guy can now run down and around. So this will run behind here. That'll be visible, but this is all going to be covered up. And I can run this down here. Not sure what's going to be here. I think the air intake only makes sense when there's a space. So luckily I have enough cable, so I need to get under there and see how far that needs to go. Really not very exciting, other than I'm showing you where the starter is right here, and you can see that stud right there. That's where the cable needs to make it to. So luckily I have just enough. The little stud, if you can see it, is for the starter triggers. It comes from your ignition key and kicks things over. That off. I just used typical wire. These are halfway decent wire cutters, but just to kind of go around the edge and get this cut off. The kit that I bought came with 5 of these terminals, and handy enough, I had it already, but 5 shrink wrap. So make sure you put the shrink wrap on first. I suppose in this instance you could put it on from the other end if you really fucked it up, but in general, that's what you want to do with shrink wrap. And get it down far enough that it's not going to melt once you do the heat. And then he's going here, and you can do it a couple different ways. You can solder it, which is probably what I'm going to do as well, but you can also crimp it down by putting it on a vise and then basically using something to just hammer the shit out of that, which is also what I'm going to do. So I have this bad boy. Come on. Okay, so that took a little while, but you can now see, you can actually see the individual strands kind of showing through. That's how you know you have a good bond. And that took a lot longer than I thought it was. So now we let that cool down a little bit, and then we'll take this heat shrink and put it up there, and then have a nice looking joint. And again, this is the end that goes to the starter. That's all cooled down, so use a handy little torch. And then we have it shrink wrapped.